She's got to go back to her people and explain it. But instead of being able to explain herself, the angel imposes silence upon her. And the people are scandalized by what's happened.
پدرت که مرد بدی نبود، مادرت هم که فاجره نبود. مریم، این چه انگیخته به بار آورده ای؟
Mary points to Jesus.
از ما میخواهد با این بچه سخن بگویی.
What did the child do then? Yes, Islam. He talked. Could you believe a baby talking? But that baby, a newly born baby, raised his head up to the crowd and says,
من عیسی مسیح بنده خدا هستم. خداوند به من کتاب آموخته و مرا نبوت داده است.
In the Quran, this is the first miracle of Jesus. The Bible's first miracle is Jesus turning water into wine at the age of 30.
Jesus is born without a father, and he's born speaking. So basically it's saying, I can do whatever I want.
The ability to talk as a newborn child is one of many miracles not recorded in the biblical account of Christ's life.
We have more sayings in the Islamic tradition about Jesus than you'll find in the Gospels themselves. So there is a possibility that other things did happen.
There were many Gospels around that didn't all make it into the New Testament. And the church tried to limit the number of Gospels and lives of Jesus.
Isa alayhi salam had the power to take mud in his hand, shape it and form it into a bird, and he will say to the Creator, let it fly as a bird, and it will fly.
For many Christian scholars, though, these miracles are mere fantasies.
There are a number of stories that are alluded to in the Quran and fleshed out in later Muslim tradition that don't occur in the Bible about Jesus. Perhaps the two most famous ones that the Quran alludes to would be Jesus turning birds, clay birds into real birds, and Jesus talking in the cradle. Interestingly, we know where both those stories came from. Both those stories were invented by pious, well-meaning Christians in the years between sort of 200 and 300 AD.
I mean, it's very difficult to verify those things. The New Testament tends to record eyewitness accounts of things that Jesus actually did that were witnessed by many people and recorded and then sent out at a time when people could refute them. And they have a different kind of quality, so it seems quite a random miracle for a baby to be speaking and for birds to be made out of clay.
Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, one of his sons was called Sam, died many, many years before. And Jesus, peace be upon him, brought him back to life and said, look, this person's from long ago.
They were pious fairy tales, would be the best way to describe them.
The miracles performed during Jesus' life may cause debate among Christians and Muslims. But it's the Bible's and the Quran's conflicting accounts of his death that go to the heart of the differences between the two faiths.
It so radically challenges the Christian view that I think it really bothers a lot of Christians. Just the idea that, hey, this is our Jesus.
The Islamic version of the events of Jesus' life contradicts many core beliefs of the Christian faith.
In the Christian narrative, the most central and fundamental point of Christianity is the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Well, Islam basically denies that.
وقولهم إنا قتلنا المسيح عيسى ابن مريم رسول الله وما قتلوه وما صلبوه ولكن شبه لهم.
In the Bible, Jesus is betrayed by Judas and crucified by the Romans. The Quran says this only appeared to happen.
There are two versions in the Islamic tradition about it appeared to them. Some of them say that there was a replacement for Christ on the cross.
When the Romans had captured Jesus and were taking him away to the cross to be crucified, God Almighty set into motion a rescue operation.
God turns the appearance of Judas Iscariot so that he looks like Jesus, and in all the scuffle and turmoil, the Roman soldiers actually arrest not Jesus, who is taken out of the situation by the four main angels. They arrest Judas, and he's saying, hang on a minute, I'm Judas. And they say, come on, we know you're Jesus, we know what he looks like.
And he sent down angels to carry Jesus up into the heavens.
The other opinion is appearance and reality. You thought something happened, it didn't happen in reality, and it really leaves it at that.
But Christians believe that the Bible's account of Jesus' death by crucifixion, written several centuries before the Quran, is the true one.
One or two secular scholars have said that the crucifixion of Jesus is one of the most historically verifiable events of the first century. We have such good evidence for it. So there's absolutely no way the first Christians would want to invent that story. Crucifixion was about the most embarrassingly and the most socially disreputable way you could die in the first century. So to claim that for your Lord and your Master is never going to happen.
Christians believe this was the moment where God perfectly revealed his love for humanity by letting Jesus die on a cross for the sins of the world. So it's a real fundamental, central, crucial point of the Christian faith. And as you look on into the history of the church, it's become, again, central in our understanding, in our architecture, in our jewellery, in our songs. It has an absolutely central place that Jesus really did die on the cross and then rise again 3 days later.
To find the story of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection being changed is too much for some Christians. J. Smith is an evangelical Christian who spent 25 years studying Islam. He's dedicated to disproving the Quran's version of Jesus' last day on earth.
If Jesus were to come down to Speaker's Corner, I would imagine he'd get up on the ladder like I'm going to get up on the ladder. What he would say to Muslims specifically is they would probably confront them with what they've done to him. What their scriptures have done to him, not them personally, what their scriptures have done to him by taking away his divinity, by also suggesting that the greatest act of history, the most sacrificial act that anybody has done, to die for mankind, God himself to die for that which he has created, has completely been eradicated, has completely been thrown out of their scriptures.
And we're going to be debating the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.